I mean, what would happen if I ate nothing but McDonald's for 30 days straight? Would I suddenly be on the fast track to becoming an obese American? Supersize Me.
Supersize Me, a groundbreaking 2004 documentary film by Morgan Spurlock, portrays the complicated relationship between Americans and food. Spurlock's film oscillates between two drastically different portrayals of obese people.
What's the matter with you, you fat pig? Don't you know how dangerous it is to be so overweight? Stop eating, for God's sake, and don't you dare get dessert. And what's the matter with you, right? Same logic.
On one hand, obese people are the drug addicts, powerless against their brain's impulse to consume fast food. Multiple guests in the film mention fast food and drugs in tandem, highlighting their similarities.
I'd be hard-pressed to find a distinction between those two examples.
However, this interaction between Spurlock and his girlfriend reveals the issues with simply labeling fast food as addictive.
Bacon. I love pork chops. Ham is the greatest
I'm sure
thing ever.
Heroin is awesome. I'm sure it's
Heroin
great.
and ham are in completely different categories.
I'd be hard-pressed to find a distinction between those two.
Spurlock originally doesn't believe the food he eats affects his brain to the same extent that any drug could, despite what the experts he has interviewed claim.
I'm sorry, but ham and heroin are not the same thing. They're not. I was feeling
This
bad
scene marks the
in a
turning
car,
point in
feeling like
Spurlock's
shit.
view of fast food.
Really.
He is transformed from a Big Mac enthusiast to a man who only feels
sick
good while
and
eating bad
unhappy.
food.
Started eating. Feel great. Feel really good now. I feel so good, it's crazy.
Another interview with a doctor clarifies to viewers the correlation between drugs and fast food by describing a heroin-blocking drug that can be used to curb fast food addiction.
And it blocks the opiate receptors in the brain. Heroin doesn't work, he wakes up. If I give that same drug to a real chocolate addict, a person just shoveling it in, you find the most amazing thing. They lose much of their interest in chocolate.
The moral question of how best to confront the so-called obesity epidemic haunts Spurlock's film through contradictions and conflicting viewpoints. Clearly, the effects of fast food on the body are similar to those of alcohol.
They could theoretically wipe out the liver, wipe out all the liver cells and there'd be liver failure.
Are going to end up with liver failure.
We see people who go on an alcohol binge and their numbers go up like crazy. But to go on, a Mac attack, it attacks your liver too.
This combination of scenes is disturbing. If addiction to food is the cause behind the obesity epidemic, why isn't the drug previously discussed routinely prescribed to obese people? Spurlock attempts to rationalize this conflict by exploring the question of
where does personal responsibility stop and corporate responsibility begin? It's a matter of common knowledge that any processing that its foods undergo serve to make them more harmful than unprocessed foods.
In keeping with the helpless addict line of thinking, Spurlock boldly infers that most people are educated about their health.
That most of us know isn't good for you to begin with.
He then goes on to disprove this through interviews with citizens who reveal their own lack of knowledge about food.
What's a calorie? Oh, Jesus.
I don't know. That most of us know isn't good for you to begin with. That most of us know isn't good for you to begin with. That most of us know.
I don't know.
Further compounding the dilemma between personal fault and general fault, Spurlock includes clips in which obese people pinpoint the blame on themselves.
The problem is the world's not going to change. You have to change. You have to change. You have to change.
This further confuses viewers. Once again, whose fault is the confusion? Spurlock introduces another factor to blame: money. Spurlock freely spouts facts about how
The average American child sees 10,000 food advertisements per year on television.
claiming that the health and food industry spends
100 times less than just the direct media budget of one candy company.
It's not about money. It's not about economics. It's about health.
If it was really not about money or economics, why would anyone be obese in the first place? Spurlock's fact-laden clips seem to say. The bottom line is the obesity epidemic is much more complex than the surface of Supersize Me indicates. One man's fast food binge reveals just how difficult it is to pinpoint blame.